Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think he could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
As I mentioned, David Samson and Amin Al-Hassan have been very helpful to Pablo Torre in helping contextualize what is a thicket of complicated subject matter. And David Samson joins us now. His podcast, Nothing Personal, as I've told you many times, covers terrain by himself that a whole lot of people are not covering. Pablo is way out in front of this story. And David, you have familiarity with PR crisis. You have familiarity with scandal and how businesses can handle scandal. Have you ever seen your entire history in sports, the documentation that Pablo has that can come this close to feeling like the most damning of circumstantial evidence on proving something is a rule break by a really powerful, rich person and organization? Because I just cannot believe the amount of information that Pablo has that has everyone saying by consensus, I miss this kind of journalism. I can't believe how locked down he has this story.
Well, he's got the sources inside Aspiration and inside the finance department of Aspiration. And what the finance department has are documents like bank statements, like investor agreements. And what Pablo did, and this is, I took issue with this with Pablo. I don't like going into these tapings and I don't know what he wants to talk about. So I don't have time to prepare anything. And Amin and I are just looking at each other with a folder of documents that we can't look at. And then all of a sudden he's rolling and that becomes an episode. And so what he enjoys is that mystery box. Hey, look at the surprise of Samson and Amin. But what's in those folders, what you're seeing in the episode is my actual reaction to it, because we didn't know that it was Dennis Wong who had put $2 million in, or 1.99 in December of 22. We didn't know the payment that went to Kawhi quarterly for his $28 million 4-year no-show contract with Aspiration. And all of a sudden you see it, and in real time, you're trying to seem smart while you're live to tape, and you're looking at something saying, Adam Silver just met the media saying that the burden of proof is on the NBA and that the public doesn't know what it's talking about. And by the way, I've never heard of Aspiration. And I'm thinking to myself, God, is he getting bad advice? I can't believe this is what Silver's doing. And now we've got this information. It's game, set, match to me when it comes to the investigation. But I've seen leagues contort themselves to make a result they want very often, like with steroids. So I do believe that there's still an opportunity for the NBA and the Clippers to get through this, because they'll just pretend that what Pablo did is not real.
Okay, I think that's going to be hard to do given what it is that we're about to play for the audience. But before I play more modulated voices, you mentioned Adam Silver. I didn't think he had a great week this week in a couple of different places. One, the way that he talked about streaming services and that the customer's going to get screwed and the customer's got to deal with it, but also how he handled the Pablo investigation. Hold on, David, you'll be able to correct me in a second. Let's get to the Adam Silver sound where he's reacting to not even today's Pablo report, because that was today at 5 a.m., and it's more damning. This is before the damning of today's 5 a.m. report.
The podcast came out. It was news to me. I frankly never heard of the company Aspiration before, and I'd never heard a whiff of anything around an endorsement deal with Kawhi or anything around engagement with the Los Angeles Clippers. So it was all new to me. I heard it. I saw some of the follow-up information. We spoke internally. Rick Buchanan, our general counsel, is here, who oversees any investigations. Rick had a conversation with Steve Ballmer, and we quickly concluded this was something that rose to the level that necessitates an investigation, in fact, one that's done outside of our office. And again, I would also say I've been around the league long enough in different permutations of allegations and accusations that I'm a big believer in due process and fairness, and you need to now let the investigation run its course.
David went from smiling to laughing. What are you doing?
I've heard that clip so many times. I watched it and I talked about it on Nothing Personal. It's not credible to me for him to say he's never heard of Aspiration. They were on the seat backs of a Clippers game in 2022 at Crypto.com Arena, number one. Number two, when there's a $300 million sponsor of a club, which is what Aspiration was, they sponsored the Clippers for over $300 million. What the league does in that case is they call on the company and say, hey, you got any more for us? We'd like to do a national deal. So there is so much cross-pollination when it comes to the commissioner's office and the teams, when it comes to sponsors and companies, that for Adam to say he's never heard of Aspiration, it just doesn't make sense. It would have been smarter of him to say nothing, to say Wachtell Lipton's investigating. See you later. Let's talk about the heave rule. Let's talk about the fact that we're a highlight league. But instead, he kept going, and I don't understand why. And now he's got to wake up this morning, and the bat phone's going to ring, and it's going to be Dennis Wong putting $2 million in, and there is no denying this. This is a fact. Dennis Wong put $2 million into Aspiration, and that money was used to pay Kawhi Leonard when they couldn't pay the rent.
When it was collapsing, he put $2 million in.
If you want to make a bad investment and throw good money after bad, okay. Dennis Wong had never invested in this company before. It was Ballmer who had invested $50 million before. So Dennis Wong comes in, and LLP and limited liability partnership. Tony, way to go. But that just means it's named DEA. You want to find something out? Could you find out if the E and A in DEA 88 is maybe his wife's first initial and his daughter's first initial? Not very original to name your LLP that. But if you look at his family, maybe you'll find what DEA is. But it's Dennis Wong, a minority owner of the Clippers, the minority owner who puts $2 million into a company that has no money, and then 9 days later, 1.75 of that goes to Kawhi Leonard for a quarterly payment that was late. How does the NBA ignore that? Forget what Adam says about burden of proof. I think that Adam's going to have to change his mind, and you'll see it happen.
I don't think you answered directly my question. Have you ever seen, in a rule-breaking type of environment, this kind of documentation produced by a journalist that is more information that the league has, more information than any of us have, and it's all there in paperwork you can see?
All there that would be available in public through the bankruptcy filing and then through a source. No, we were looking for papers like this in baseball. A Marlins story. We tried to find out with the Shohei Ohtani signing We would always try to find out what the Angels had promised Ohtani that would have been against the rules. We'd try to find stuff out on the Yankees and the Red Sox who were doing things with their reporting of revenue. So we'd go to games and look around for sponsors that they may not have reported or try to get to the bottom of things, but we could never get things in writing. And there were committees who were formed for the sole purpose of trying to make sure teams were being honest. And the NBA has one of those also, and Steve Ballmer is on it. Steve Ballmer is on the audit committee in the NBA, which is responsible for the financial reporting of the teams. So there's great irony. But man, I spent a lot of time searching, but Pablo is not my employee, so we never found it.
David, we're obviously not in a court of law. So the rules are different with the NBA and what they need to do and what they have to do or what they will do. But if we were in a court of law and these documents are presented, this case is over, right?
Well, no, there's rules of evidence when you have to go back to where these documents came from, how were they secured. So there's a chain of custody of evidence. And then there is someone who has to, it can't be Pablo reading this and putting into the record that which his reading of that document is. It has to be someone who prepared the document or someone who can speak to the truthfulness of that underlying document. So there's a lot different rules when you're in real court versus podcast court. But man, did we have fun in podcast court on Pablo's show this morning.
What else was interesting to you about the episode? Let's get to the voice modulations here real quick. Please, these are also damning. He's got 7 sources inside of Aspiration, and the way they talk about this, David, my God, it's just such an obvious open secret that everyone knew about. Here is one of the modulated sources.
But between those months when all of this is missing, so September, October, November, and leading up to December, the actual certainty of the company even existing is up for grabs at that point. Are we going to get paid as employees? Why does Uncle Dennis keep calling us? We have such bigger concerns that we're thinking about, which is our own salaries. Are we going to have to go through layoffs? Where is the money going to come from? But lo and behold, Uncle Dennis gets paid.
So this payment was made December 15th, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
When was the 20% of the staff laid off?
The same day.
Pablo has documentation that just shows that the payment to Kauai from this bogus tree planting company, it just says right next to it, critical. The payment to Uncle Dennis is critical. Let's play the longer sound that offers some of the context around what was going on at this company and just how clear-cut some of this stuff is.
I knew the name Dennis Wong because I got 2 texts from this very senior executive at the firm regarding Dennis Wong.
So inside of Aspiration, Dennis Wong's investment was identified as an investment with the Clippers clearly attached as part of the identification.
Yeah, and I do have another text as well. This is from November 13th, 2022. And it says, Wong is Ballmer partner.
How surprising is it that a new investor would put money in December 2022 who had not already clearly been deeply invested into the company?
So it is beyond shocking. And I will tell you, I knew that the board, which is Ibrahim al-Husseini, who's been indicted, and Joe Sandberg, who's been indicted, I knew that they had put money in December to make payroll and make rent and all that material. It is not a rational investment that someone would make. So it is very shocking to me that $2 million was made as an investment by Dennis Wong, who in my text is identified as the Clippers, Steve Ballmer's partner, a week before $1.75 million was paid to Kauai.
David?
I think it's important to understand 2 things with what we just heard. One, when you associate Dennis Wong and the Clippers, I'm not using the fact that he got information, this source, she, they, whoever it was, we heard the modulated voice also during the show, was that it said Wong, open parens, Clippers, close parens. As I've told you, I have in my phone Steve Dry Cleaner. So I would not be surprised if it was associated so people just knew Dennis Wong Clippers. So that's not evidence to me. What's evidence is the relationship between Steve Ballmer and Dennis Wong. The close relationship that exists when they were roommates back in Harvard, when they are with the Clippers together, building into a dome together, going to games together. There is no way with Dennis Wong's daughter working at the firm. The question is, would he put $2 million in to save his daughter's job? Would he put $2 million in because he thought he would save trees? Would he put $2 million in because he was asked to by Steve Ballmer or by his daughter or by Joe Sandberg? All of those are possible. But for the NBA's point of view and the investigation, the timing of the $2 million that comes in and then goes out to Kawhi, that's what's going to interest Wachtell Lipton, the investigators. Why did you put in $2 million at that point? And the burden is on Dennis Wong, who could end up being like Ipe, could end up being the fall guy here for this version of Ohtani. He's going to have to say to Wachtell Lipton, I believed in this investment. I believed in helping out my friends, a company that was in need. And then it's going to be up to the NBA to decide whether that is rational and credible, because rational is what you need to prove to not have salary cap circumvention.
You know what nobody tells you about being a new dad? It's not just the diapers and the wipes, that's obvious. It's the hidden stuff, the baby swing after we already purchased the other baby swing, the bouncer, the pack and play, the 20 different bottles, because apparently my kid hates every single one, except the most expensive one, which is the glass, by the way. Don't get me started on late food delivery orders with my wife, and me too tired to even look or cook or think about food. I'm staring at my bank account like, where did it all go? That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's like a financial tool belt for everyone, not just dads. You link all your accounts, your credit cards, investments, even the old stuff from jobs you forgot about, and it lays out in a way that even a sleep-deprived parent like me can actually understand. Normally, money talks are stressful, but with Monarch, we can track everything together, set goals, and actually feel like we're on the same team. Less stress, more clarity, and finally, a plan for our daughter's future. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code Dan at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Dan.
Hey, listeners, it's Mike. Hey, Billy Gill.
Hey.
Hey, Billy, as a proud member of your inner circle, remember when we were hanging out last weekend?
Oh, yeah, fishtail palms.
The fishtail palms, the great memories we made, kids playing in the pool and in our hands, a nice ice-cold can of Miller Lite. It was so hot out.
I know, but it was so cold in my hand.
We took that first sip. It was crisp. It was refreshing. Oh, man, there is nothing like cracking open a Miller Lite with your crew and your inner circle bones.
Hell yeah. We fist bumped.
Whether it's, we actually really did. Yeah. Whether it's that touchdown.
Didn't make a sound, but I just thought
bam! Boom! Whether it's that touchdown you didn't see coming or just arguing about fantasy lineups, you and I did plenty of that. Miller Lite has been the taste that you can depend on for 50 years. Brewed for flavor with simple ingredients, rich toffee notes, and that iconic golden color. And here's the kicker, Billy.
What?
It's just 96 calories.
What?
3.2 carbs. Huh? Per 12 ounces. The original light beer since 1975 and still hitting different 5 decades later. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
What does Zyn give you? Not just smoke-free nicotine satisfaction, but real freedom. Freedom to do what you love and choose your rewards. With Zyn Rewards, you can redeem points for premium tech, outdoor gear, and gift cards to your favorite retailers. Find your Zyn and keep finding rewards that fit your lifestyle at zyn.com/rewards. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Dan Le Batard.
Tatas.
Stugats.
Tatas.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats.
I have a number of different questions, and I will continue to tell the audience a couple of different things. First of all, nothing personal is growing at a very, very fast pace. And it is a perfect lead into what it is that we're doing. Your timing was terrible, so was the audio. So good work by you, Chris. David Samson's Nothing Personal is getting more and more popular, and he's in the middle of this Pablo Torre Finds Out episode that a lot of people are saying is even more damning than the first one. So I've got a handful of questions. First of all, for you, more damning incrimination that Dennis Wong is a 1% owner and the only other percentage owner of the Clippers with Ballmer's 99% ownership, or the fact that he was Ballmer's college roommate in 1975? Which of those two things do you take? Which is more damning in terms of what this relationship is and how hard it's going to be for Ballmer to say, I didn't know anything about this?
None of the above. The fact that he's the alternate governor, the fact that he's the vice chairman of the Clippers, that means way more to me than whether he owns a percent or not, or whether he is his college roommate or not. He is a part of the Clippers organization, definitionally has a relationship with Steve Ballmer. That proves it more than college roommates. Some people may not even like their college roommate.
Let me say this about the scandal. You find yourself in the position where you have to handle this today on behalf of the Clippers. You are in charge of doing what's next. What's the lie you're going to tell?
I'm going to make sure that media, I'm not letting Steve Ballmer do an interview, and I am deciding I'm going up to Steve Ballmer as his head of crisis PR and asking whether he is willing to let Dennis Wong wear this. Because if he is, then I'm going to the NBA with a settlement offer, which is I put money in and I got duped and conned. No question. You're not going to get anything more on me on that issue. You're not going to get whether or not Kawhi's $28 million was above market or below market. But this Dennis Wong thing, I don't know how to get through that. How about if we suspend Dennis Wong for a year? How about if you fine the Clippers the maximum amount for appearance of impropriety, and you can take away our first-round draft pick in 4 years, because that's the first one we have. And I don't know, Tony, when the next first-round pick is. They traded so many of them to OKC. But I would start negotiating the punishment once Steve Ballmer agrees to let Dennis Wong wear it. Because the problem is, what if Pablo's not finished? What if Pablo has another episode ready to go?
I didn't even consider that.
What if he has more and he is doing a torturous release of information for maximum detriment against the NBA and the Clippers and Ballmer? The only way to stop this from happening is to have a punishment that satisfies Pablo. Is he satisfied today? No. Does that mean he has more to find out? We're going to wait to see, but I would bet he does.
David, there's two subsequent investigations going on in this studio regarding the investigation into Kawhi Leonard.
I've texted Ramona.
One of them, Tony is conducting because he thinks he has the motive behind Pablo's investigation. And the other is whether or not Steve Ballmer and Ramona Shelburne's interview was actually, in fact, in Bristol, or whether or not it was in Los Angeles. If we find out that it was not in Bristol, that was, in fact, in Los Angeles, does that undercut all of Pablo's reporting?
No, it's just he said it was in Bristol, and I happen to know that it was in Bristol, but I'm interested to hear what Ramona says. And if you're thinking that Steve Ballmer had to travel cross country.
Wait a minute, are you reporting that you happen to know? Did you report it I happen to know? There's no way that you happen to know.
I happen to know that Steve Ballmer did not fly across country, that he may have already been in the Northeast when he went to Bristol.
Mike Ryan's the king of happen to know. Are you alleging that you have a happen to know? You are reporting this as a happen to know?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, he knows.
He happens to know.
Come, everyone. Come and listen.
Happens to know.
He happens to know. Well informed.
Now, I will say this. David said that he happened to know that Steve Ballmer was already in the Northeast, which also goes against the reporting that Steve Ballmer flew across the country for the interview.
Get out of here.
So I will say that there has been questionable reporting of the situation.
I have now heard back from Ramona Shelburne.
Nice.
Wow, it's early.
It is early. It is early for her, but Pablo's dropping these episodes at 5 a.m. and making everybody scamper.
Lord's time zone needs to happen.
I'm saying,
Ramona reports that the interview that she did with Ballmer was in Bristol because they were all there for the Hall of Fame. They were all in the Northeast for the Hall of Fame.
So it didn't make Steve Ballmer.
Well, but the Hall of Fame is not in Bristol.
So it's essentially
Pablo
confirmed.
did specifically say, I made him fly across the country.
Wow. Which kind of
I would have preferred him not to have said that part because he was already in the Northeast, but it doesn't take away from the show in any way.
It somewhat discredits him.
He does take a bit of a credibility hit, but not quite as much as the Clippers are today. Because honest to God, I want people to understand your level of shock when you processed live on camera the idea of, holy shit, he's got a minority owner here who is really close to Ballmer that makes it impossible to think that Ballmer didn't know what was happening here.
Should you believe the credibility of the reporter, which now is in question slightly.
So it's the big thing here, Billy, which is when I'm sitting there, I am tempted to not want to. Remember my background with teams. I don't want to believe the media knows more than I do. I don't want to believe the media is smarter than I am. And so I'm sitting across from Pablo, and I'm not wearing my nothing personal hat. I was wearing my executive hat, and I was trying to discredit everything he's been saying. That's been sort of my de facto position during the course of recording these episodes, because that's my experience. 18 years of no, you don't know shit. So what did I do? I opened this document, and in real time, I'm trying to come up with a possible explanation. What can I say that will be credible is the reason that Dennis Wong put $2 million in December of 22 into a company that no one would have invested money in unless it was the two guys who were indicted. And I came up with nothing.
Well, his
and this
daughter
was in
worked there.
real time.
Want to keep his daughter's job safe. His daughter worked there.
I thought about that. There were tons of layoffs happening, and he knew very well. Did we find out whether she's the A in DEA? Do we know the name?
Tony's still looking it up. I know you want Tony Finds Out. It's an important thing that he's trying to get to the bottom of, but we don't have that answer right now.
David, are you about to be a villain in this Expos doc that's coming out?
Oh, that's a funny one. I got notified. This is over a year ago. I was called by someone in Montreal and had a conversation in French with one of the producers whether I'd be willing to do an interview about the Expos. And I said, sure. And then when they said, hey, we'll come to your house, I thought to myself, they're going to travel to me? All right, that sounds good. Then it was 9 hours long. And I thought to myself, what's this about again? And I didn't know the title until yesterday. And it's called Who Killed the Montreal Expos? I was like, oh, no.
That's a bad sign.
So I had to call my agent. I had to call my lawyer. I had to call my kids. And I said, I may have made a small mistake.
A 9-hour mistake?
I was sitting there just talking about the Expos and, the guys and stories, etc. And then there's a release from Netflix Canada. And I was on to something was strange when I may have gotten an email from Netflix saying, and I thought it was a form letter, but it was an email that said, Dear David, would you be interested in doing media and potentially attending the premiere of a new movie about the Montreal Expos?
Yeah, why not?
I thought that it was from my time in Montreal. I did not even put it together until I saw the release of the name of the movie. And I said, oh my God, that's what I did. Shite.
So my family is from and still lives in Montreal. They
vous parlez français.
Are huge. I didn't say I lived there, David. They are huge Expos fans, or were huge Expos fans. Dan, whenever my family sees David here on screen with me, they text me vomit emojis.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's 20 years ago. Tell them to get over it.
Wait a minute. There's a movie coming out, Who Killed the Expos, that you're starring in. What do you mean, get over it?
Listen, hold on.
If they interviewed you for 9 hours, I'm sorry, I've got the answer. Look, spoiler alert, Who Killed the Expos? This guy did. If they interviewed you for 9 hours, they're blaming you for it.
This is a potential problem. I absolutely get what you're saying. However, I still could end up on the edit room floor.
Is it not so insulting that we're having this conversation about who killed the Expos, and David's just Like he's cackling.
No, I assure you he's the star of this movie.
It's so insulting, no?
Star, I don't know, but
The opening scene of this thing is going to be David sitting down at the seat.
Yeah, with one of those clacking things.
I must tell you that I was doing the interview thinking to myself while it was going on, man, I'm doing great. And it's sort of like you thought on Survivor when you're doing those confessionals that take a really long time and then they're edited into the show to be like 10 seconds. And you're like, wait a minute, I said way more cool stuff, but they only took what I said about this or about that makes me look like a brain or an idiot or a first guy to be voted out. So I'm slightly concerned with how the edit's going to go, but I'll keep in touch. I don't think anyone's going to hear about this movie until just now.
Thursday Night Football is back, and it's only on Prime Video. Tonight, the Washington Commanders take on the Green Bay Packers, with both teams determined to prove their worth. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Commanders and the Packers. Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Folks, football season is here. It's your season, your shot. The NFL is rolling, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first TD scores to anytime props or even the rush of live in-game betting, every snap is a chance to win. New customers, this is for you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code DAN. That's code DAN to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place just a $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Don Batard.
Oh, I like firing people. So I take the opportunity to fire whenever I possibly can because I can use it as a learning experience for them and try to help them out and try to point out what they did wrong. But in this case, the employee was enough levels below where I was that I did not do the firing, but I had it done within moments of discovery.
I love the idea. I like firing people. It's just absurd. It's absurd.
Stugats.
I'm talking about people who I fire who deserve it, who have done something that actively requires me to fire them. It is my unadulterated pleasure to do so.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugats.
Mark Cuban was one of the Pablo Torre Finds Out episodes, and I found interesting the other day that all of a sudden he was being quoted as saying, I had no power when it came to the Luka trade. What did you make of those comments?
Well, listeners of Nothing Personal know that we said it the minute the deal was announced. Mark Cuban was rumored that he's going to keep running basketball and he's going to keep being the governor after selling the team to Miriam Adelson's son-in-law. Well, really Miriam Adelson. And I said at the time, there's no way that he can do that. When you sell the team, you're gone. Even these step transactions that we pretend happen, like with the Celtics, in real life, like Wick at the Celtics, see you later. Mark Cuban, done. And he wanted people to think he had the power just in case maybe the Mavericks were good. But then the minute they traded Luka, he comes out and says, oh, man, I had nothing to do with that. And I wanted power, but Nico didn't want me to have power. That's pathetic. The GM has zero say in a purchase agreement. 0. And in the purchase agreement for the Mavericks, it outlines exactly what the powers will be of Mark Cuban and his retained 27%. And it's about as much power as you have, Dan, with the Mavericks. Nico, it's like saying that Mike Hill would have been involved in the sale of the team to Derek Jeter. He had nothing to do with it at all.
I want to play this silver sound that you were making faces how I framed it earlier, and I want to get your correction on me after I've played the sound for the audience on. It feels like Adam Silver's saying, tough customer, we're going streaming, we're going to grab all the dollars, and it doesn't matter, the customer doesn't matter.
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent that your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that is advertising based that consumers can consume.
You're not allowed to have highlights on YouTube. It gets taken down unless you pay the league for highlight rights. For crying out loud, what Adam was trying to respond to was someone asking, hey, is it really too expensive to watch NBA games? And his only answer was, yeah, but let's talk about the fact that you get highlights for free, like by watching SportsCenter, and highlights are what people are interested in anyway. We're a highlight league. Boy, season ticket sales people are super excited to have him say that. People who work in in-game entertainment, people trying to advertise like Aspiration in the Intuit Dome, trying to say, oh, people love going to games. Adams say, no, we just engage with highlights. I found that to be, again, are his PR people like asleep at the switch? What is going on?
So in a sport that is having a lot of trouble over the years in defending the importance of their regular season, Adam Silver sold me on it there, Just watch highlights.
Look, Samson loves when the commissioners of the leagues don't care at all about the customers and just say so out loud.
You can do it in such a nicer way. They got billions of dollars for their broadcast rights and a deal that's starting. Their franchise valuations are going up. I think what you say there, if you're Adam Silver, is we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you, the fan, to access our games, which is why there's so many more national games and more nights that you can access our games and all the other great content on these streaming services. We're doing this for you, the fans. I would rather he have gone that direction than the, hey, we're a highlight league.
Give us your review. We haven't had time for these because there's been so much news in all of your segments that we've been doing recently. And again, I urge the audience to listen to both Nothing Personal, which is growing at a very high rate of speed, and Pablo Torre Finds Out, where they are using some of David's work to accentuate his expertise. What are you reviewing for us today in the way of a movie?
Please tell me that any of you have watched Nobody 2.
Oh, I saw the first one. I saw Odenkirk is one of the most offensive of the older than 50 action stars, but they're doing it tongue-in-cheek. Is Jim from Taxi still in that? Is Dr. Brown from Back to the Future in Nobody 2?
Did you forget Emmett just now?
I'm forgetting the name.
Christopher Lloyd.
Thank you. I forgot the name of Christopher Lloyd, yes.
Did we sound
And you may have
indignant
also
enough?
forgotten Emmett. Dr. Emmett Brown. Yes, he is, but his part is very small in Nobody 2. It is so ridiculous. And I'm not an ageist. It's not that I think he's too old or that I don't believe that Saul would in any way engage in this sort of funny action stuff. The problem is they had no story. And the script is so weak. The premise is so bad that really it was Hollywood saying, hey, slap a numeric number 2 on Nobody, get Odenkirk here from Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway, and let's make a movie. It looks like it was shot in like 30 days, and it just looks like they didn't care. They were totally mailing it in, and it crushed me because I really thought Nobody Part 1, or the first movie, I was totally entertained. It was funny to see Odenkirk that way. By Nobody 2, I was despondent that I had to watch the whole thing. I just saved you an hour and a half of your life, Dan.
It's got very good ratings here. It's got the Rotten Tomatoes says it's 78% and 89%. People like this movie.
People like a lot of things that aren't good.
Okay, but you are taking an unpopular stance on a popular franchise. Ladies and gentlemen, now starring in Who Killed the Expos, David Samson, coming shortly in documentary form to wherever it is you get your documentaries. Thank you, David.
See ya.
Do you guys know that Greg Cote's anger yesterday was real? That Greg Cote was prideful and mad about losing Soup of the Day, at least in part because you remember he had a segment. He prides himself on very few things. Cooking and knowing soup are two of the things. Chris, how did you feel with your father? He left here on his birthday seething. He was not happy how yesterday's show went.
Yeah, I didn't feel great about it, especially because it was his birthday, and we talked after, and he did. I was expecting to talk to him after, and it stuck with him. It was really bad.
He totally shut down. He totally shut down on the show after he lost, fair and square, I might add.
Wow. We had our Greg Cote show weekly meeting, and his tone was just like, I've had a bad. I'm like, Dad, this is your birthday. Please don't let this sit with you. It's a soup competition.
Billy, are you with Greg? Do you think we mistreated him? And I don't think Billy thought it was fair and square.
It was not fair and square. It was the most obvious thing in the world that he was going to lose that soup competition.
But his soup wasn't as good.
Because he had the worst soup? What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Me, ultra popular figure on the Dan Batard show, upsetting Greg Cote. Yeah, the fix was in, Billy Gill.
Well, Dan had the deciding vote between you and Greg. It was
Zaslow decided.
Zaslow did. He put it on Zaz.
Decided.
My wife said to me when I got home yesterday, and I told her what happened. She said, "Why did you make that sweet old man angry?"
It's a good question. I will also say this: Chris Cote was on this chain. There was a text chain that was sent. A tipster sent us a tip that accused Mike of using HelloFresh in the soup thing.
Someone sent me a photo of a HelloFresh recipe that looked exactly like Mike's soup.
No, I use a lot of different things. I'm familiar with it. That's where I was like, ooh, oftentimes I do use that as my source material to see if I like this. And then I save the recipes. And I'm like, let me build this thing out and add to it.
And my dad defended you in saying there's nothing wrong with using a recipe, but he still went back to the coconut thing. He's like, he can use a recipe, but I didn't taste the coconut. He could not let that go.
He couldn't wrap his mind around the fact that this is a different soup. Like
subtle taste.
Yeah, coconut is but a layer of the beautiful soup that I put together.
So this was worse than the turkey cook-off, huh?
100%
In terms of his anger, yeah, because I think he actually felt like you beat him that day. He felt like he won yesterday, even though I don't think anyone
also
agrees.
He likes you. Like, I got this weird adversarial thing with Greg Cote that's honestly one way. I love the man, but it felt like losing to me in particular, especially when he's the soup guy, and I've never actually engaged in any of these I'm better than you contests. It felt like me beating him felt like it stung him more.
It felt like he was mad at me too. I don't know if you're aware.
There's a lot going on there.
I don't know that he likes me so much. I don't know if you're aware about that. And I feel like it's kind of bullshit, the position that you put me in yesterday, Dan. Like, why did you vote before me?
Yeah.
Because Dan was giving away his vote. It was so clear how Dan was going to vote.
Right, he was totally putting it on me.
Right. Yeah, it was obvious that Dan liked one soup more than the other.
And you hadn't really given away, so I was like, let's at least end with...
You know, have you ever thought about how this makes me feel? Have you? Like, I knocked that shit out the park. In fact, the lime zest wasn't even on the soup, and after you guys added the lime zest afterwards, you're like, holy cow. Yeah, no, this adds another layer to it. This goes extra. This goes to another level. You guys are over here trying to taint my hard-earned victory. I'm not. You know what? There's no incentive for me to continue indulging this show in these activations. You have made me feel bad.
I loved you, Soup
Oh
Dog.
no. Greg feels great typically after these, so I'm sorry to hear that you feel bad.
I do. What you're doing right now is hurtful to me because I worked hard. All right, I went to a Whole Foods. I was scanning the aisles. I was like, no. Let me upscale every ingredient
That's
that I
what a
can.
good chef does.
Let me get this to be so quality. I am attaching my name to this. Let me pour my heart and soul into this. And you know what my extra ingredient was, Billy? Despite your intentions right now, love. I wanted you to love that soup.
Bring up this conversation.
Game changer. Love that soup.
It was a damn good soup.
I will also say this: one of the voters in yesterday's contest said after the fact, and I'm trying to remember whether or not, spoiler alert, it comes out on Mystery Crate or not. But one of the voters said that they were very much intimidated by Dan and trying to get their vote the way that they thought Dan wanted the vote to go.
It was Jeremy.
So that's why they voted for
Well,
Greg.
suppression.
That's I actually think you voted for Greg just because you like Greg. That's what I think. And forget the votes, Greg continued to perpetuate this lie on the air that he made more soup than me. He did not. I made way more soup than he did.
There was more soup at the end of Greg's, which
That's
would
right.
mean that maybe he made more than you.
No, it meant that people liked my soup more. You continue to do this. Why are you so divisive, Billy?
I'm not. I'm
you
just
know what?
coming here.
You make the soup the next time.
Chris, Billy, Greg Cote's now winless in these competitions.
Which was mentioned many times before the vote.
That's what he tried to tell me, my dad, yesterday. He's like, when do I get to win? I'm like, Dad, in this show, you're probably 745-4. The only losses you get around here are these competitions.
Again, people hate me on this show. People love him. There's nothing sinister at play here.
I disagree with you only here. The sinister thing and the fraud in the voting, Chris voted for his dad. Chris was lying. Chris saw how wounded and prideful.
Chris wanted a good competition. Jeremy started voting for Mike.
Chris, whose soup was better?
They were both really good.
Chris?
They were different good.
Chris?
You guys are so full of it, man.
Chris, whose soup was better?
I liked my dad's soup. I liked both. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna let you do this.
You're trying to intimidate another voter.
I voted
You see
for my
what's
dad.
happening here, right?
Now, if Jeremy had voted for my dad, might I have voted for Mike? Maybe.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.